On to the headlines.
Kenyan retail sector adopts traceability to combat counterfeit goods and enhance consumer trust. African Union adopts Pan-African traceability standard for pharmaceuticals. African garment industry enhances traceability to meet new EU sustainability standards. Kenyan retired athletes struggle post-career.
Hello and welcome to Traceability TV News, your source for the latest updates on global traceability and safety concerns. I'm your host, Miriam Munyoki. Kenya's agricultural industry is currently at a crucial crossroads, and its leaders are urging immediate systematic change. In order to achieve the goals set forth in the Malabo Declaration by 2025, traceability is an effective tool at the center of this change, and without it, the nation runs the risk of lagging behind in terms of trade competitiveness, environmental objectives, and food security.
Traceability systems must be completely integrated across the value chain to fulfill the Malabo pledges on food security, agricultural growth, and poverty alleviation. Digital traceability improves the access to export markets, reduces post-harvest losses, and increases transparency from farm inputs to final consumer goods. Efforts to achieve continental norms may fail in the absence of trusted data on food product production, transportation, and safety. Leaders are now advocating for the implementation of policy-driven traceability, which is seen as revolutionary for regional market alignment, farmer empowerment, and accountability. Regina, Traceability TV.
In 2025, Kenya's construction sector is thriving, with major infrastructure projects changing the nation's skylines. With this rapid expansion comes with growing concerns, and leaders in the sector are urging improved traceability to building materials to guarantee public safety, quality, and compliance.
With billions invested in roads, housing, and energy, traceability has become essential in the construction sector. In the absence of real-time material tracking, risks of substandard imports, counterfeiting, and structural failures remain high. End-to-end visibility is provided by digital traceability systems, which guarantee that only approved goods enter supply networks. In one of Kenya's fastest growing industries, traceability is becoming the unseen foundation of safety, accountability, and resilience as the nation forges ahead. Ronald Reagan, Traceability TV.
Antiretroviral medication shortages across the country are putting thousands of patients at risk, further taxing Kenyan healthcare system. Calls for better traceability in the pharmaceutical supply chain have been rekindled as a result of this crisis. Experts caution that rationing and medication shortages could continue to jeopardize public health in the absence of real-time visibility.
Deeper structural issues in Kenya's medication delivery networks are exposed by the ongoing ARV crisis, as inadequate traceability mechanisms make it difficult to check inventories, estimate demand, and procure drugs on time. Health professionals contend that pharmaceutical traceability from the manufacturer to the medical facility can guarantee fair access to life-saving drugs, avoid bottlenecks, and lower thefts. Since more than 1.4 million Kenyans depend on ARVs, traceability is essential for public health and not only a logistical improvement. The moment has come to standardize and digitize supply chains for medications. Regina, Traceability TV.
Kenya's retail sector is taking bold steps to safeguard consumers from counterfeit goods by adopting advanced traceability systems. With growing demand for product authenticity, retailers are now embracing technology that tracks items from source to shelf. The result: greater transparency, improved quality control, and renewed consumer confidence.
Through GS1 Kenya's Hakikisha Bidii platform, consumers can now verify the authenticity of products before purchase, simply by scanning a barcode with their mobile phones. This innovation, coupled with GS1 traceability standards, empowers retailers to track the journey of goods in real time, from origin to outlets. As counterfeit concerns grow, Hakikisha Bidhaa is proving to be a powerful tool in restoring trust and protecting health and safety. Experts say embracing such digital traceability tools is not only key to tackling illicit trade, but to also building a resilient and accountable retail ecosystem in Kenya. Rinta Luther, Traceability TV.
We're now taking a short commercial break. Stay tuned for more news updates after the break. Welcome to Traceability TV, your ultimate destination for all things traceability. We're the global platform that brings you the latest in traceability news, interviews, and live event coverage. From in-depth news updates to exclusive interviews, Traceability TV keeps you informed on the practices that are transforming industries worldwide. Our mission is simple: empowering organizations to achieve transparency, accountability, and sustainability throughout their supply chains. Our vision: a world where every product's journey is visible, ethical, and sustainable. At Traceability TV, we offer unparalleled opportunities for brand visibility. Feature your company, highlight your traceability solutions, and showcase your commitment to GS1 standards. Leverage our expertise to create high-quality advertisement videos that resonate with your audience, or sponsor a segment to position your brand as a leader in the traceability space. You can support us by partnering on special projects. Your contributions help us deliver more in-depth analyses and expand our global coverage. Traceability TV is more than just a channel, it's a movement. Join us in building a future where every product's journey is visible and trusted. Traceability TV. We trace it, you trust it. The African Union has taken a landmark step in the fight against counterfeit drugs by mandating a continent-wide pharmaceutical traceability standard. This move is set to revolutionize healthcare logistics, enhance patient safety, and restore trust in Africa's pharmaceutical supply chains.
The AU's traceability framework will mandate that all pharmaceutical items marketed across member states be digitally tracked from manufacturer to end user, as counterfeit medications continue to pose a threat to the public health and economic stability. The possibility of counterfeit medications entering the market is greatly reduced by digitized methods, which guarantees that each batch of medication can be verified. In addition to streamlining regulatory monitoring, experts stress that a unified traceability approach will protect lives, promote data-driven decision-making in healthcare systems, and increase trust in African medications internationally. Regis Regina, Traceability TV.
African textile manufacturers are stepping up to align with the European Union's new sustainability rules by adopting advanced traceability technologies. With the EU enforcing stricter environmental and ethical sourcing standards, African garment exporters are digitizing their supply chains to remain competitive in global markets.
The new due diligence rules from the European Union require complete transparency about labor standards, carbon footprint, and product provenance. African producers are responding by putting in place traceability systems that record data in real time, from the fields of raw cotton to the final garment. This change increases transparency, assures compliance, and boosts buyer confidence internationally. In Africa's quickly changing textile industry professionals confirm that traceability is now a must for reaching high-value markets, lowering reputational risks, and showcasing a dedication to ethical and sustainable production. Ronald Reagan, Traceability TV.
Welcome to Visibility Sports News. I'm your host, Mildred Akin. Athletes are often hailed as heroes during their active years. However, when the spotlight fades and the games come to an end, many retired athletes are left to face the life without the support they need. Our reporter delves into this pressing issue.
Kenyan athletes have long been admired for their performance in athletics, rugby, and football, bringing glory to the nation. Many struggle after retirement, lacking financial security, healthcare, or career guidance. Without structured support, transitioning to life beyond sports becomes a major challenge. Retired athletes have called for better pension schemes and medical support, as many face hardship and untreated injuries. It is imperative for sports bodies and sponsors to create sustainable post-retirement programs. Winter Luther, Traceability TV.
And that wraps up our news bulletin for the day. Stay tuned for an informative documentary series on the healthcare sector. As always, I've been your host, Miriam Munyoki, and this is Traceability TV. Last week, we told the story of Bidii, a hardworking father, a husband, a man full of life and dreams. He walked into the hospital with a simple condition and walked out with medication that was never meant for him. Due to a mislabeling error, Bidii was given the wrong drugs. Days later, he died. He left behind a young family and a haunting question. How does something so preventable still happen in our healthcare system? Misdiagnosis and medical errors are not just numbers in a report. They're real stories, real lives, real pain. Today, we look at the faces behind this silent crisis, from the front lines of care to those affected most. In a world where one label can mean life or death, the smallest error becomes fatal.
They told us that it will be okay. The medicine that we were given at the hospital will help him. But it turned out that the medicine that we were given was actually not his. And he started reacting so badly to this medicine, and we had to rush him back to the hospital. Unfortunately, it was too late. They said that it was a labeling mistake, and it is so unfortunate that I had to lose my cousin just because of a simple sticker.
Across Kenya and beyond, misdiagnosis is driven by more than human error. It's fueled by under-resourced systems, paper-based records, and a lack of traceability.
My name is Purity. I'm a clinical officer by profession. In my field of practice, as a clinical officer, once a patient comes in the hospital, of course, you have to welcome them in the facility. You have to clock them to know their symptoms and what brings them to the hospital. We have to examine depending on the symptoms and signs you are given. Then you have to do investigations. Other than doing investigations, you can do empirical treatment, but after doing investigations, you have to come to a diagnosis and manage the patient. After management of the patient as a clinical officer, you can decide to send the patients home, give them referral. That is also part of management.
Most of the times, the doctors may rely so much on investigation results. So if you do not have proper tools for investigating, laboratory and radiology, sometimes you may not come up with the appropriate diagnosis.
With the limited tools and resources, first, when you start with the tools that are medically used to examine patients so that you can arrive to a diagnosis. But more often you find when you don't have the appropriate tools, you'll just examine the patient and then you will give an empirical treatment depending on, as an individual, what you have at that time. So that may not lead you to maybe treat the patients in a way that they don't deserve injustice to patients. And again, then you'll have to, then may incur resources, other resources, when now after your treatment, they get sick again, because you might not have given the right treatment because of your diagnosis. When we come to resources, we find that there are some medical equipments that are needed to make a diagnosis, because some investigations are costly. So when you don't have enough resources, you won't be able to use that to reach to your diagnosis. So when you misdiagnose sometimes, or more often, you give a diagnosis that when you arrive to a treatment, you won't give proper treatment. So that also may affect credibility of the facility or you as a clinical officer, and also may also affect the patient, because psychologically they might have to be sick longer enough, and also that is also mental torture to a patient.
Okay, with limited tools and resources, I'd say that it will lead to delayed diagnosis. I'll give an example. Let's say, for example, the patient has a fever. Fever is something which presents in so many conditions, and I would maybe need a specific test. Let's say, for example, if I'm suspecting the patient has malaria, I would have to do the malaria test first so as to initiate the correct medication for that condition. So with limited resources, it can also lead to misdiagnosis. Let's say, for example, if I don't have maybe an ultrasound or an X-ray, I would only be relying on the patient's symptoms, and I would easily miss out on maybe the correct diagnosis, and this can also lead to giving wrong medication.
I once received a prescription with the wrong dosage for a pediatric patient. A pediatric is a child, and the prescription was in an adult dose. So what we did is I flagged it and returned the prescription to the prescriber, who then corrected, and at the end, the patient got the right medication. As a profession, we normally have a procedure where we should counter check the name, the age, even the weight, even the gender of the patient, because some medication are specific to the gender, age, and weight, such parameters. And that's what I did. We counter-checked first, and then is when we noticed that the prescription was wrong.
I was treated for malaria, but turns out I had early-stage kidney failure. I collapsed at work. I only found out the truth when I'd made tests at the private clinic. If I had not, I did have like Bidii.
These are not isolated incidents. They are warnings. Our healthcare system needs more than passion. It needs precision, accountability, and visibility. Is there a solution? The answer lies in standards, systems, and accountability. In our next episode, we explore how traceability standards can prevent tragedies like Bidii's. We'll speak to regulators, standard creators, and tech innovators who believe a safer, smarter healthcare system is possible. Because in healthcare, every name should be known, every drug should be traced, and every life should count.